There are reports Donald Trump could be making an appearance at the fourth Republican presidential debate. It comes as News Nation organisers set up 5 lecterns in preparation for next week's event in Alabama. For more on that, we have former White House Chief of Staff and Bondi Partners consultant Mick Mulvaney. Mick, great to see you. Perhaps just a good bit of advertising from News Nation. I don't know.
It is a great piece of advertising for News Nation. It's a small network here. A lot of folks are surprised they got this debate, but it'll be on Wednesday. And the story is this, Laura, is that during the week, during the preparation, a couple things happened. Number one, they did set up a 5th podium on the stage. Now, if everybody that they think is going to qualify qualifies, that means there would be a space for Donald Trump. There's also been some reports that the Trump campaign team reached out to the organizers to ask a bunch of logistical questions. Where do we need to be? What do we need to prepare for? And most importantly, when do we need to decide? The answer to that is about 24 hours from now. So the Trump team has about another day to tell the folks, the organizers of this debate, whether or not he's going to show. Lastly, another data point is that the Secret Service did actually sweep the area over the weekend, and Donald Trump is the only Republican candidate who has Secret Service coverage. So the Trump team continues to publicly say that he will not be there, that there's no reason for him to be there. He's beating all of these people by at least 30 points in head-to-head races, sometimes a lot more than that. But it is creating a little bit of a stir for folks who are at least looking for something to be interested in this Republican primary.
Why would he turn up, Mick?
It's a smaller crowd now. There's only going to be, if Chris Christie qualifies, and he might not, there might only be 3 other people on the stage. It would be Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and Vivek Ramaswamy. So if Trump were to show, it would be a very, very small, intimate gathering where he could dominate. It makes very little sense for him to show up when there's 8 or 9 people on the stage, as there has been previously. Plus, there is some concern, I think, in the Trump camp that Nikki Haley's getting a little bit too much good press. She's still trailing dramatically in the polls, but she's getting a lot of good press, and no one's really started to attack her yet. It doesn't look like Ron DeSantis is going to attack her. Chris Christie, if he's there, will continue to attack Donald Trump. So Trump might show up to sort of start counterpunching against Nikki Haley. That's the argument, at least in favor of him showing up.
What does it take to qualify, and who sets those rules?
The rules are set by the Republican National Committee, and they change with each debate. The reason you're seeing fewer and fewer people as we go through this process is that the RNC continues to raise the thresholds. The thresholds focus mostly on the amount of money you've raised, the number of people from whom you have raised money, and then critically, how you are doing in the polling. For example, right now you have to be at least 6% on 2 polls. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but for layman's terms, that's close enough. Chris Christie's there in New Hampshire, but not in Iowa and not in any national campaign. So he's on the bubble right now. Everybody else, Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, and obviously Donald Trump, are polling above 6% on enough polls to qualify to be on the stage on Wednesday.
Do you think if Donald Trump is on that stage with the other candidates that it's probably more of a win-win for him, or does he get shown up by, my favourite term from you, normal Republicans?
What we're seeing right now in the polling data, there's some really good polling data that's come out over the course of the weekend, and we expect to see a lot more of that in the run-up to the debate. That's how these polling services work, is that he really has solidified his position. He continues to creep up slowly in the polls, approaching 60% nationally in some polls. And while Nikki Haley is consolidating her position, moving up in the polls, not only is she still way behind him, she's still not the preferred second choice of folks like DeSantis voters, Ramaswamy voters, and Chris Christie voters. So even if Nikki Haley, for example, is able to consolidate all of the anti-Trump voters, all of the normal Republicans, she's still looking at 35 to 40% maximum, and that's not enough. So she has to be able to, all of them do. Anybody who wants to challenge Trump has to consolidate that anti-Trump voter and get some of Trump voters away from him. That second thing does not appear to be happening yet.
No, it does not. Mick Mulvaney, will speak to you next week. See you soon.
Thanks, Laura.